Hey everybody, it's me, John Brown. I know it's been a long time since I've seen you guys, but I'd actually considered not doing any more videos for the channel. I've been working overtime basically this entire year and haven't really had the time to commit to it. However, I've noticed that while obviously I've been losing subscribers as you would expect, in a situation like that, I've also been gaining some subscribers too and kind of keeping around the same numbers. And I want to thank those people who have joined the channel recently for kind of motivating me to get back to doing this. And in order to get back to do this, I want to do a top 10 countdown of the year, because that's something that people tend to do, and to announce that I will be hopefully very soon being able to put the effort that I want to back into the channel, and hopefully push towards 200 subscribers. It may not sound like a big number, but really the reason I do this is because I want to be a board game advocate, to give hopefully fair, objective advice on people who are interested in the board game hobby, and to be pro-consumer. And in order to do that well, I want to have the time to devote to that, and hopefully by the end of the year, I will be in a position with work that will allow me to do that. And I want to thank the people who have subscribed recently for helping motivate me to get back into this, for all of you who have stuck with me for motivating me, and let's get to it, and hopefully I'll be back with you guys soon. If there's any reviews for any of these games that you would really like to see, let me know. I don't own all of them. As I'm not a big channel, I don't get free games. A lot of times if people in my game group have a game, I don't get a copy, but most people in my game group are pretty cool and would let me borrow one if there's one there's a lot of interest in. I've done videos on some of these games, but let's get right down to it. Some games I'm going to say right now, I have not played yet, but will have the opportunity to play very soon, that are not on this list that I anticipate might knock something out. And I'll do a quick update if that's the case. Include Above and Below, Flick 'em Up, Shakespeare, and maybe even Stockpile. That's not usually... Stock market games aren't usually my sort of thing, but that one looks interesting enough that that one has potential. So I'm going to start with number 10, Between Two Cities. This is a relatively small game. It's one that has a really interesting mechanism to me. This idea that you and the player to your left and right are working together to build these cities. You're going to have a city on each side of you, and your lowest score is going to win. But be the one that scores to try to win the game. It's a really interesting game with drafting. It's a game that some people in my group didn't really prefer, didn't really like all that much. Maybe that's why it's not higher on my list. It's one I really liked. The rules are pretty simple. You're drafting tiles and laying them out and building a city. And I really like that idea of, you have these two cities you have to balance and different ways to score and drafting along with the people to your left and right. So that's Between Two Cities. Number 9, The Voyages of Marco Polo. So it's a dice drafting game, a pretty popular thing right now that we're seeing in more and more games. And one of the things I really like about this game is it has variable player powers. At the beginning of the game, you play as a character, and all the powers seem overpowered, but they're all overpowered, so that's okay. It's a really neat game. Number 8, Cacao. I did a video for this. I really praised this one a lot and didn't really have anything negative to say about this. I think I was excited because I love the concept of tile laying games, but a lot of times I feel like there's no choice. And this game, having different tiles that you can choose from, it's a tile laying game. It's simple and whatever, but it's one that I personally really enjoy. I've played a lot of, and maybe would even be higher, but because I've played a lot of, I've kind of gotten tired of. It's not something with a whole ton of depth, but it's a game that I really enjoy if you're looking for a tile laying game that's a little different than, say, Carcassonne. Number 7, Mysterium. This is a game that's gone over really well with my group. It's one that, obviously the art style and everything reminds me of Dixit, a game I really liked, but didn't enjoy playing more than a couple of times. Where this game, there's a little bit more of a game to it, and it's a game that, somebody... You might not want to be the ghost, there's a lot of pressure on it, but I remember the first time I played it, the person who was the ghost was really excited about it and loved it. We even played something wrong that I screwed up that would have made the game easier for us, but it's a really interesting game where one player is trying to aid all the other players in finding out a mystery using these cards with interesting artwork. I was a little bit worried about the American edition, how they changed some of the artwork, but it's still really good. It's still odd enough. I was worried it'd be too kind of mundane, but that really wasn't the case. There's an added thing where you can try to choose if people were right or wrong, other players. I don't personally really love that, but much like, say, fast travel in an Elder Scrolls game, I remember people complaining when that came in, going into the video game world, and it's like, well, if you don't like it, don't use it. So, neither here nor there on that, but really neat game. Number 6. I haven't played this game a lot, so I wasn't really sure where to put it, but after playing it, this was like number 1 on my Christmas list, is Star Wars Armada. I love X-Wing. I've never really done a video on X-Wing, but the starships have always been one of my favorite things about the Star Wars universe. We can do a separate video if people are interested in the new Star Wars movie, but anyways, yeah, and Armada takes the scale to something entirely different with, just huge capital ships and also, squadron of smaller ships. It's a little bit more complicated, but to me it's a little bit more interesting. It's not, it's a lot more maybe strategic than tactical is the term I would use, where you have to think, big picture and long term, and it's a really interesting game, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it. Alright, so getting into the top 5, so here's a little bit of a surprise one. Normally I wouldn't have spent the money on this sort of game, but I have a wonderful girlfriend now, fiance actually, recently, who purchased Cthulhu Wars for me. It's a game we were in a store, she is not into board game at all, I dragged her into a store, and I saw the box and I was like, oh, this is a game I was thinking about kickstarting. Her son was interested in it, but, it was just too much or whatever, but she actually bought it for me as a surprise. And this game is really interesting. It, again, has asymmetrical gameplay, which I like. It definitely has a bit of a dudes on a map feel, but, you as whatever ancient one you are has different objectives, unlock special powers. There's one in the base game super annoying power that seems overpowered, but then people might gang up on that person. So obviously if you don't enjoy conflict or that's not the game for you, but it's one of those games that, when I saw the minis, I'm like, oh, the game's probably going to be terrible, which is, other than cost, the other reason why I didn't back it. But having played the game, it's a really enjoyable game that's gone over pretty well. Again, for a certain group of people, it may not have the widest appeal, but I really like Cthulhu Wars. Number 4, Codenames. I was just thinking the other day about, I don't know if I'd be able to pick a favorite designer. I love a lot of Feld games, but they can sometimes be a little samey. Whereas Vlaada Chvátil just, he did Buddy Buddy Moose Moose and he did Mage Knight. Galaxy Trucker and all these games that are so different in levels of complexity and mechanisms. And this is one that's super simple, but one that I really enjoy. I've played this multiple times. It's really interesting to see how different people think, where you're just trying to get people to guess words that are out there on a board and giving them clues, but hopefully them not guessing the other things that might be similar. And it's just kind of fun to see how different people think. I've played this with Ian, my 10-year-old, and he's really enjoyed it. I've played with gamers, they've really enjoyed it. And while not everyone loves this game, it has a very broad appeal, unlike some of these other games, and I highly recommend it. And hopefully now enough copies are starting to come in that people can get a hold of it. Number 3, definitely my worker placement game of the year, Champions of Midgard. This is a game I was super worried about. I didn't think I would enjoy that much. I thought the dice were going to play too much into it. While, Cthulhu Wars and other games on this list have dice, I was worried that, I was going to feel like, oh, I go into this combat and I didn't do well and I lose all my guys or whatever. But it's a fairly in-depth worker placement game where you have to kind of plan what you want your guys to do, and you can get different troops, which are dice, and they are good at different things. And again, you have slightly different variable player powers when you start. Everybody has one. It's not as extreme as some other games, but it's still interesting, and secret objectives and all this. And it's fantastic. There are enough ways to mitigate the dice. Probably the most difficult thing is that you can just have a really bad card flip over if you go out on a boat to attack monsters. But you need to be prepared for that. And even there's a lot of strategies in this game. The one game I played, on the last round I just bought a second boat. Sorry, my dog is hitting the tripod there. but it's just to get points. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can get points, and combat's a big thing. But there's secret objectives and all this, and it's just a game you can play different strategies. Really neat. So that's Champions of Midgard. Number 2, going along a somewhat similar theme here with kind of Norse stuff, is Blood Rage. Blood Rage, I've played it a few times now, and there are a few little issues. I've had people say like, "Oh, this combo is overpowered," or or I personally felt like it has what I call the game show effect, where sometimes it seems like the final round is all that really matters, where you score so many more points in the third age in the first or second, that's all that really matters. At the same time, there's other things about this game that kind of balance that. You can end, the third age in particular quickly by successfully pillaging areas, and so as much as there are some things I'm still not sure about, even in spite of those things. And I'm no expert or whatever, just from what I've played, even despite these little things that kind of are like, oh, I wonder if I like that or not, I need to play it more. It's just so much fun. The drafting cards and that dictating your strategy for the upcoming round. The fairly simple but still interesting battles. The idea that you can want to lose, and also another fair point. The way you leave the board state at the end of the second age will affect, how the third age goes. So, there are ways to set yourself up so that you're in a good position. It's just a really fun game. Another game where, yes, the minis are fantastic. I only have the base game, not the Kickstarter exclusives, but it's still really enjoyable, and one that's gone over really well in our group. The number 1 game that I have, a bit of cheating, it technically came out last year, but nobody could really get it, and that is Roll for the Galaxy. I did a couple videos on that game, and they were kind of first impressions. I'd already played it like twice or something like that, I don't even remember, and I was like, this game seemed amazing. I wasn't sure if it would hold up. It has. I've played this game probably more than any game this year. It's one of the only games I've played where we have finished the game and immediately someone at the table was like, "You want to play again?" And everyone else in unison was like, "Yeah, let's play again." I've had it happen 2 times with 2 different groups of people in this game. It, for me, replaces Race for the Galaxy, no issue. I like that game, but this game is just smoother. I feel like it's just more fun. There's one person in my group who doesn't really particularly like it, but everyone else, it's one of the top games. So like I said, there are some games that excuse me while my dog goes nuts. There's some other games I'm looking forward to playing. I may do an update on this video. You may also notice Pandemic Legacy is not on this list. That is in part because I haven't played it, and also I have talked with people who have played it. I'm kind of familiar with some of what goes on in it. And actually in our gaming group, it wasn't a huge hit. People liked it. I mean, we like Pandemic. They liked a lot of the ideas in it. But there are a couple things, one thing in particular, that my group was kind of disappointed by. Now, I don't think that means people should go on Board Game Geek and give it a 1 score to try to bring it down from the number 2 spot where it is at right now, last time I checked. I think that's silly. I don't get the everything nowadays seeming to have to be a 10 or a 1 in the internet age where everyone has these unbelievably strong opinions. But, and again, I haven't played it. Maybe playing it, it would be in my top 10. But from what I've seen and heard, it's a great idea, but not necessarily one that I'm super excited about. I'm actually looking forward to, I believe it's Seafall, and we'll see how that goes if that game ever actually comes out. Or is it Sealand? I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've heard anything about it. So, but there's my top 10. Definitely some different styles of games. Maybe some ones you didn't expect, maybe some ones you expected not to be on there. Like I said, this may change, and I'll let you know if it does. And if there's anything you really want to see a video for, let me know. I should be coming back soon with videos to include Blood Rage, hopefully, very soon, and some other ones. And I want to thank you all for supporting the channel. And hopefully as I get more videos out, you guys will like it and share it with other people. And we'll get to 200 subscribers and beyond, and maybe at that point I'll be able to actually decide to invest some money into getting better sound equipment or video equipment or whatever. So thanks a lot, everyone. I'm in my PJs, sitting back in a chair, getting ready, trying to get in the holiday spirit. And I hope that whatever it is you choose to celebrate this season, it's fantastic for you and your family. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. All right, bye.